What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat!
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and I'm sad to say that on January 30th, 2019, we lost the truly amazing character actor Dick Miller. Miller appeared in over 100 movies, perhaps most famously in Gremlins and its sequel. And he also happens to be a very special part of Dead Meat, since it's his line in Chopping Mall that ends the extended version of my intro that Chelsea edited.
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. But if I ever find little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Miller had a long career and a long life, living to the age of 90 with his wife of more than 50 years, Lainey. He appeared in practically all of Joe Dante's films and many movies by Roger Corman, including the subject of today's Kill Count, A Bucket of Blood, released in 1959. A Bucket of Blood is a fun little horror comedy that sees a spry young 30-year-old Dick Miller in a starring role as lowly Walter Paisley, a name that would be reused for at least half a dozen other Dick Miller characters throughout his career. Written by Charles B. Griffith, who would go on to write another Corman-directed horror comedy, the much more famous Little Shop of Horrors, A Bucket of Blood is a satirical take on the beatnik subculture and came out right before beatniks passed their counterculture crown to the hippies of the 60s. In this film, Miller's Walter Paisley is a wannabe artist who would absolutely kill to have the respect of all the OG hipsters that surround him. And exactly how many kills does it take to get a little respect? Let's find out and get to them. The movie begins in the Yellow Door, a coffee shop slash art exhibit slash place with open mic Fridays. A bearded beatnik named Maxwell Brock tries to be heard over his saxophone player as he drones on and on about art, man.
Where are Leonardo, Rembrandt, Ludwig? Alive! Alive! Alive!
The busboy at this joint, Walter Paisley, is so entranced by the words he hears, he can't help but make eyes at the poet. Walter wants very badly to be an artist, but the owner of this place, his boss Leonard, thinks he's nothing more than a disc jockey. And he doesn't get much respect from his would-be peers either.
Walter has a clear mind. One day something will enter it, feel lonely, and leave again.
I mean, I guess the guy is kind of weird and inept. He stares at random couples making out on the street and can't even properly kick a can down the road. No one saw that, no one saw that. At home, after fixing himself dinner in a dusty saucepan, he tries his hand at his absolute favorite art form, claymation.
Be a nose. Be a nose.
Oh man, this doesn't look like Prometheus or Bob. His sculptor's block boils over when he hears a cat in the wall that won't stop meowing at him. The cat belongs to his landlady, who had been asking after her pet earlier, and Walter takes an interesting approach to getting it out of the wall. Yeah, what were you trying to do there, Walt? Stab a pilot hole? He tears away his cheap-ass wall to find a very fake-looking dead cat back there. Or maybe his true art form is taxidermy and that's where he keeps his works. In any case, it's kinda hilarious that Walter just literally did the opposite of what heroes do early on in a movie to win over the audience. He is sad about it at first, but the next morning he feels some inspiration. And inspiration feels like clay. He heads to the Yellow Door and shows his skeptical boss Leonard and the much more encouraging Carla a thing he made.
It's a thing I made.
The thing he made is a cat covered in clay.
What's it called?
Dead cat?
Dead cat? That's its name?
Sure.
And Dead Cat is immediately praised by Carla as a shining example of realism. Leonard even agrees to put it in the corner of the Yellow Door that night, saying he'll split the profits with Walter if it sells. The cat's a bona fide hit with the artists there, including Maxwell Brock, that lead beat and apparent template for Season 3 Paul Kinsey. Brock toasts to Walter and makes a big to-do about his clay-cast kitty cat. And the ruckus it causes makes Walter so popular that he's unable to fulfill his busboy duties. So Leonard sends him home and tells him to work on another art project.
Make another cat.
Well, I haven't got another cat.
Before Walter can make it out the door, he's swarmed by Neolia, another beatnik, who just straight up tells Walter she wants to bone him and his big ol' sculptor's brain. Walter's not interested, so instead she gives him some off-screen drugs as a plot contrivance, since the handoff is witnessed by this undercover cop. Yeah, there's an undercover cop in this movie. Two of them, in fact. But the other one's outfit consists of a cowboy hat and a bathrobe. That's not a disguise, dude. That's a fucking Pee-wee's Playhouse character. Walter leaves and is followed by the cop, not Cowboy Curtis, the one that looks like a mix of Adam Scott and John Mulaney, all the way to his front door. He thinks Walter is involved in the heroin trade, even though this dude clearly doesn't have the wits to even trade Pokemon cards.
Well, wasn't that nice in Naolia to give me that expensive horse?
The cop, Detective Lou, tries to arrest Walter and take him downtown, even pulling his gun on him when Walter refuses to go. But that only manages to freak Walter out even more, and he winds up cracking Lou over the head with that pizza pan, giving us our first human kill of the movie. Yes, it's off screen. Don't get your hopes up for these kills, people. This was pre-Psycho. Walter's landlady, Mrs. Swicket, hears the racket and comes into his apartment, but he gets her back out of there before she can notice Lou's dead arm falling from the ceiling. Yeah, that arm's gonna leak, Walter. You'd better— oh, hey, you got it. And they call you stupid. Is that our titular bucket of blood? Because it looks more like a cooking pot of blood to me. Walter's sorrow for killing Lou is short-lived, as he quickly gets the idea to pull a cat trick with the body. Risky move with a dead cop, Walter. The force is already scrambled and looking for him, as we see in this very stock-looking footage. Plus, at the yellow door, Leonard, by way of clumsiness, discovers that underneath the art piece dead cat is an actual dead cat.
Little fraud.
The next night, cops show up and scare the serving tray out of Walter's hands, as a kick-ass guitarist performs a song that's very on theme for this movie.
Sing, go down, you murderer, go down.
Leonard tries to tease Walter into admitting he's a fraud, but Walter insists that he has a new piece finished.
Crazy. What is it called?
Murdered man.
I think Leonard just shit his pants. Leonard goes to call the police, but this dude from Tammany Hall stops him and insists on buying Walter's dead cat, offering $500 for it, which would be about $4,300 in today's dollars. That's enough to make you complicit. Walter takes Carla and Leonard to his apartment and unveils his latest work. And Murdered Man is fucking hideous, dude. Why does he look like a Shawshank inmate? Carla and Leonard are both taken aback by the ghastly visage of the pseudo-sculpture.
I've never seen anything like it before. And I hope I never see anything like it again.
But while Carla thinks it's a work of genius, all Leonard can do is stage act over to a chair and collapse in it. Leonard doesn't want this skeevy little murderer around his coffee shop, so he gives him $50 from the dead cat sale and tells him not to come into work anymore. Walter's absolutely thrilled about that, since it makes him a professional artist. Why, he's so happy he turns into Anakin Skywalker for a second. Oh yeah, do a jump there, Walter. That's a good trick. The next day, our Pinocchio Picasso shows up at the yellow door anyway, looking like Jack Nicholson's Joker about to go on a museum bender. He makes easy friends with Maxwell and the stoner dudes Oscar and Will, but his latest artistic achievements failed to impress this lady nicknamed Alice the Awful, who's skeptical of his skills.
Prove it. Make something out of this.
There. Hand.
Walter storms off and later that night follows Alice home to her door, where he tells her that he'll pay her modeling fee of $25 an hour, that'd be a bit over $200 an hour today, if she poses for his next piece. She unwisely agrees to do it right away, so she goes with Walter back to his place and gives the audience a gratuitous bra shot. Whoa, Corman, you dog. Ah shit, and an exposed back too? And I thought the era of free love wasn't until the 60s. Walter earns himself another victim when he ties a handkerchief around Alice's neck and chokes her to death, again mostly off screen. But at least this kill has dramatic blaring horns accompanying it. The next morning, Walter shows up at, what is this place, a commune? In a scene where I learned that the hipsters eat funny food joke has been going strong for 70 years now.
What are you having?
Soy and wheat germ pancakes, organic guava nectar, calcium lactate and tomato juice, and garbanzo omelets sprinkled with smoked yeast. Join us?
No thanks.
Also, I think that's what I had for brunch last weekend. He shows all the artists his latest work, and they're deeply moved by its, I don't know by what, really. That thing sucks. But Maxwell promises Walter a party, and Carla even gives him a smooch. Oh, fuck, that was definitely a mistake, girl. At the party, Walter gets sloshed on champagne, and Maxwell delivers a poem in his honor. Christ, this looks like an obnoxious place to be. I mean, for real, this poem goes on forever. At least that guy dressed comfy for it. Walter promises his peers that he's gonna go on making statues forever, but on his drunken stagger home, he realizes that his creative queue is already empty, and that gets him concerned.
I gotta do something before they forget.
I know what it's like to be ignored.
He comes across a random furniture maker and, after rambling some poetry in his face, takes the dude's head and introduces it to his buzzsaw. Now who is the master and who is the tool, furniture man? Walter shows up at the yellow door bright and early the next day. In fact, the morning newspaper hasn't even been delivered yet.
Read about the man who got cut in half.
He presents his new art piece to Leonard, hoping it'll be a hit, but instead it's a bust, because Leonard knows the truth behind Walter's artistry. Leonard's solution to this problem is to throw Walter an art exhibit? I'm not sure I understand the rationale here, but okay. On their walk to the exhibit, Walter tells Carla he likes her. Aw, Walter, that's cute. You know, as long as you don't try to rush it or anything.
I want to get married. To you.
You blew it! Carla tries to carefully tell Walter that she doesn't feel the same way about him. But Walter, of course, doesn't take it very well. And after a brief little temper tantrum, he asks Carla if she'll let him make a statue out of her, which she agrees to. The art exhibit has all of Walter's works on display, although not in chronological order, which kinda irks me. And it looks like all the fat cats and art reviewers are eating it right up.
I'd give $1,500 for this. After you read my review, it'll probably cost you $5,000.
But after a little bit of schmoozing, Carla realizes the awful truth behind Walter's sculptures, and she tries to get the hell out of there, only to get stopped by our murderous Michelangelo. After he tells Carla that he wants to make her immortal, she pushes past him and starts to run home. He chases after her, leaving everyone else at the art exhibit, where eventually his secret is broken wide open. A chase scene ensues that involves pretty much all of this movie's wacky side characters, but Walter slows down in his pursuit when he starts hearing the voices of Detective Lou and Awful Alice in his head.
Walter. No, you couldn't know. You're dead.
Aw, poor decapitated furniture maker guy. He doesn't get a disembodied voice, even though Walter's at the place in which he was killed. Walter runs his fraudulent ass all the way home, where the voices of his victims continue to taunt him. Knowing the jig is up, he decides to hide where they'll never find him. In clay? Or in art, I guess, which he understands to be death. So when the ensemble cast breaks into Walter's apartment, they find him hanging dead from the ceiling. Why is it in selfie mode? There we go, yeah. Widen that aspect ratio. The end. How many bodies does it take to make a work of art? Let's find out the numbers, you cool cats. Only 4 people died in A Bucket of Blood, with 3 of them dudes and 1 of them a lady. That comes out to a real simple pie chart there, and with a runtime of only 65 minutes, we had a kill on average every 16.25 minutes. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to the furniture dude. Nothing was really on screen, so I'll go with the coolest implied kill. Dull machete for lamest kill will go to Alice, because I don't like how gratuitous those bare shoulders were. Have we no decency left in this world? And that's it. A Bucket of Blood came out in 1959 and starred Dick Miller, an amazing character actor who brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. Thanks for all the memorable roles, Dick. Until next time, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching this extra Kill Count. I want to thank some patrons like Corey Mason, Jordan Horn, Louis Sanderson, and Quinn Stadens. Like I said, Dick Miller has been in a ton of movies, and I have not seen most of them. What's your favorite Dick Miller role? Post it in the comments so I can check out those movies. I just love how reliably funny that guy was. Rest in peace, Dick. Thanks everyone, be good people.